You're joining us in Székesfehérvár in Hungary, known as the City of Kings, and crucially, the country's pentathlon heartland. While this venue is a seasoned host of international events for this unique sport, the pressure today is immense. The stakes have never been higher. Hello and welcome to Pentathlon Junior World Championships. We're delighted to bring you the second semi-final, and what a journey it's been to get here. These remarkable young athletes will be relieved that the conditions here are not as hot as they have been through qualification. Yes, still pretty balmy here, 27 degrees, but the gentle breeze will be some comfort as 18 athletes battle for the 9 remaining places in the finals. This is women's semi-final B, and we'll begin with the fencing direct elimination round. First to 5 hits in a minute. We'll then move on to the 70-metre 8 obstacle course, where you'll race against the clock. The faster you go, the more pentathlon points you'll get. We'll move from obstacles to 4 laps of a 50-metre pool, just a couple of kilometres away from here. Again, that is a race against the clock, but we'll conclude with the laser run, 3,000 metres, comprising of 5 600-metre laps, punctuated by 4 visits to the laser range, where you need to hit 5 targets, and this is the place where we will be looking out for overtakes. We'll definitely be looking out for overtakes in the middle of the pack. After the 4th visit to the range, the athletes will complete the final lap of the circuit, the top 9 making it through to the final in a couple of days' time. Well, the fans are out, and for good reason. It's slightly chilly this morning, just 23 degrees, but it's all climbed all the way up over the middle of the day. And we're now up at 27 degrees. Much needed rest for the athletes, a day off since qualification. We've got 18 athletes coming up in this session. The equation is simple and unforgiving. Place in the top 9 will get you into the final, and here is the lineup. As I say, we'll be talking through each of the disciplines, but as we approach the laser run, we're really looking for that middle of the pack, top 9, to make it through to the final in a couple of days' time. Well, here they come in order. And what a start. Victoria Sazonova, neutral athlete, is the reigning junior world champion. First of 2 Paris Olympians, Malak Ismail from Egypt. France are represented by Mathilde Dervel, hoping to go better than the 13th she scored last year at this event. Another neutral athlete, Tagarova, a good all-rounder. Now Hungary's very own junior European bronze medalist earlier this month, Emma Mazaros. She came 6th last year, Zaina Ama of Egypt. Can she get on the podium here? She needs to make the top 9 in this semi-final. Chloe Johnson was 6th at the Junior European Championships just a couple of weeks back. The Brit joined by her teammate Gina Speakman, her last year as a junior.
Representing Germany, Nadja Farmand.
2 Germans in the field. Nadja Farmand was 8th at the Under-19 World Championships last year. Lucy Lavachkova has already started making waves at the senior level, the athlete from Czechia. An athlete in development, Sara Forti from Italy. Starting with the fencing, she'll be pleased. Italy are very good at fencing.
Representing Poland, Maja Biernacka.
25th at the World Championships last year, which were held in Alexandria in Egypt. Maja Biernacka of Poland.
Representing Switzerland, Katarina Jurt, the Junior European Champion.
Katarina Jurt representing Switzerland. She took the Junior European Championship title earlier this month. Top 8 at the Under-19 European Championships. Hungary's Emma Herbach out next. We don't know huge amounts about Milena Pievets, a neutral athlete, but she's got a very quick laser run.
Representing Germany, Cansu Kurt.
Cansu Kurt, the second of the Germans. She was 7th at the Under-19 European Championships.
Representing France, Chloé Flamand.
On good form, Chloé Flamand from France, silver medal at the Junior Europeans a couple of weeks back. And the groups competed by another quick laser runner. Hadkiewicz, I should say, is a neutral athlete, and that is your lineup for the semi-final B in the women's competition here at the Junior World Championships in Karabakh. And joining me, I'm glad to say, is Youth Olympic Games finalist and African Championships silver medalist Alida van der Merwe. Great lineup, couple of Olympians in there, reigning champion.
Yeah, no, we are yet set for another action-packed semi-final here. We have a range of Olympians, junior world medalists, as well as European champions. So strap in, folks, for another exciting semi-finals. But this is the lineup for the table of 32, where we'll wait for our final round.
Yeah, so we start with an incomplete table of 32 in the knockout round for fencing. So 2 fights. We're going to start on 2 pistes. I will take you through the action on feature piece, piste A, and Alida will keep us updated on piste B. We start the competition on piste A with Colline Flavin of France. And she goes up against the German on the right, Cansu Kurt. Over on piece B, Hadkiewicz against Pievets. 2 neutral athletes going up against each other. So just a minute of fencing. First to 5 hits if you can get there. Or if you have a lead after a minute, you go through. If the scores are tied, the athlete with the higher ranking from the seeding round, in this case that is Kurt, will progress. Whole body is target. Got to hit with a point. First one to hit. If you hit within 0.02 of a second, you will get a double with your opponent, where both fencers score a point.
Well, the score is 1-1 on piece B. Hadkiewicz and Pievets with only 36 seconds left. Pievets, the high-ranked fencer, on piece B, but it's Pievets with the point there, making it 2-1.
Well, here, that hit's been annulled for Cansu Kurt, because if your opponent goes past you, you're allowed 1 go at hitting them. But if you go past your opponent, you're not allowed to hit. She rights that, though, with a counter-attack over the top.
Pievets making the score 1-3. She just gets it on her opponent's hand there. Hadkiewicz with the French grip there, so looking for a reach. But Pievets using a pommel grip and the accuracy. But it's a double score, making the score 1-4. 1-4 piece B.
Well, Kurt's got control of this inside the final 10 seconds, and a double sees her to a 4-2 lead. 6 seconds left to go. Flavin looks like she is spent here, and Kurt, just using distance, gets a double to finish the job. 5-3, and it's Kurt who goes into the round of 16.
And it's Pievets that goes into the round of 16 there on piece B, who will be up against Malik Ismail of Egypt. Very
reactive there from Kurt, but got the lead and both of us will be talking about the importance of getting the first hit when there's only a minute on the clock. It is absolutely vital. Kurt stays on the feature piece, and she'll take on Sazonova, the neutral athlete.
Yep, Kurt will be the lowest seeded fencer here. So Sazonova will be using her Junior World Champ title experience here. As you can see, she has the French grip, has a longer reach. Difficult to get past her, but Kurt will have to make some attacking moves.
Just starting on piece B, Piavitz goes off against Malak Ismail as Sazonova scores the first touch on piece A.
And it's a point for Malak as she flashes against Piavitz.
You see the extra reach from Sazonova on the right-hand side. She's in the French grip, gets extra reach, but with it loses a little bit of strength and a little bit of accuracy. But as you can see, she can then contain Kurt with that extra reach by just taking hold of her blade on the retreat, hitting with a counter action to go 2-0 up. Chansey Kurt just not doing enough here to put pressure on Sazonova. Another counter double, attacking from too far away, Kurt. And now, well, the task pretty impossible.
Some action on piece B. Double score, making it 3-2. 23 seconds left on the clock. Malak Ismail, the higher seeded fencer, so she needs to make moves here, but it's Piavitz in the lead. And it's Malak Ismail who goes for the attack on the arm, evening the score out with only 17 seconds left.
We're done on A. Sazonova has gone through, and she's done that with ease using that French grip.
Score was 4-4 with only 13 seconds left on piece B. Doubles are in favor of Ismail of Egypt. 8 seconds left, but it's Piavitz looking for the score, but it's Ismail who scores. Oh, just falls to the ground there. And it is victory for Ismail.
Well, we saw the value of the French grip from Sazonova in those replays, using her extra reach. As we now move on to the second of the 16 matches here on the feature piece. Farmland of Germany on the left, taking on Great Britain's Speakman. This for a place in the quarterfinals.
Oh, just fixing up of the hair there. So with the girl's hair has to be tucked in behind the fencing mask. There's one of the rules. And on piece B, we have Lavachkova and Johnson of Great Britain. They start their match off there in the top right of your screen. Lavachkova, the Olympian, bringing the experience to this competition.
So both Brits out at the same time. Speakman here on the feature piece. Johnson up in the picture-in-picture.
Score is 1-1 on piece B. Lavachkova, the lower-ranked fencer here, so she will have to attack.
Attacking is Nadia Farmand to take the lead here, and these two couldn't be more tightly ranked. Speakman 8th, Farmand 9th. Now Speakman with the work to do.
Lavachkova with a surprise attack on her opponent's arm there, making the score 3-1 with only 30 seconds left on the clock. Johnson goes for the attack, but it's a double, 4-2.
Another one for Farmand here on piece day. The German playing a tidy game here, just playing with the distance and luring Speakman in, capitalising on points. Doesn't chase the target though.
So victory there for Lavachkova, as she will be up against next of Ismail of Egypt.
Well, Farman's played a canny game here, using distance to pull Speakman in. Speakman, with time running out, has no choice but to go for it. Only gets a double, so 0.02 of a second gap between the two hits means both fencers score, putting Farman one step closer. And they were facing each other. There's no issue about the back shoulder coming forwards, and Farman progresses through to the quarterfinals. Solid fencing from the German. Both pitch gone in one round, and here we see that Speakman just had no choice but to chase after it. And spoiling tactics, which is part of the game in épée, used by Farman to make herself very difficult to hit.
Yeah, we'll see where the seconds are nearing down, that athletes sort of make moves of either going for the attack, throwing themselves into attack, and just fighting for every point there. But we'll be surprised with what we'll see. But on piece B, we have Forti of Italy and Zeina Amer on your right.
Yeah, and here on the feature piece, we have got Benatska from Poland against Mesinos of Hungary. Hungarian pentathletes known for their fencing. Hungarian on the right. Again, there's that rule where Benatska was attacking. She went past her opponent. Meseros then has one opportunity to land a hit, and she gets off the mark with that hit. The unorthodox arm, Meseros. Out wide, elbow tucked out, but the hand quite far forward, keeping Benatska at bay. But that's the risk when your arm is exposed. It should be tucked up behind the guard here, like Benatska. Elbow on the outside is open, and Benatska took that opportunity well.
Aima scoring a point in such class there with the prim, as Forti pushes her towards the end of the piece. Aima is just waiting for her opponent's attack as she goes. But it's for Forti who scores the point, making the score 1-1. There's only 8 seconds left on the clock on piece B. Amer, the high-ranked fencer here, as she goes to the flesh, doubles in favor of Amer.
Crucial point here on piece A. Meseros getting the single light after a double. Meseros, the higher-ranked fencer, means Benatska has to go after it, which she cordially does. And these are going to finish at roughly the same time. Meseros going through on time, 4 points to 2.
Piece B, 0.7 seconds left on the clock, scores 2-4, and it's clocked out, and it's victory for Zeina Amer on piece B, who will forward through to table of 8.
Well, happy Hungarian team with Meseros showing that her rather unusual style definitely works. One of two twins up next from Switzerland, Katarina Yurt. She'll take on Tagarova, the neutral athlete.
You can see Yurt from Switzerland against Tagarova.
On piece B, we'll be welcoming Herbach of Hungary and Mathilda Derval of France. Derval, the higher-ranked fencer here.
We'll get that popping up on the corner of the screen shortly as Yurt uses some lateral movement on the piece. This one started very cagey, both using different grips. Yurt with the pistol grip, Tagarova with the extra reach of the French grip, known as pommelers. Fencers that use the French grip. And Katarina Yurt, nice bit of what we talked about before, second intention. She did a little fake attack to draw the counter-attack out from Amina Tagarova, and then picked off on the inside of the wrist.
So score is 1-2 for Derval on piece B. Only 32 seconds left. That was a double score. Herbach needs to make moves here if she wants to win this bout, as she applies her pressure onto Derval, but Derval just patiently waiting for her attack to a counter-attack.
here on the feature piece. Tagerova has decided she has to press a little bit harder here, and it has worked. Edging up the distance, closing things down, making less space for Yurt from behind. Yurt had to allow the distance to close up, and Amina Tagerova has drawn level.
Only with 9 seconds left on the clock, Herbach gets that final touch, making it 3-2 against Derval. Derval needs to apply a move here. She will be applying pressure, looking for the attack, trying to get past, ticking down the clock as she gets that point, making it 3-3.
It's 3-3 here as well, with 0.4 of a second left on the clock. Tagerova is the higher seed, so she would go through, and Yurt nearly caused a massive upset there, but Tagerova through to the quarterfinals of the fencing DE.
And time out there for Piece B, and it is victory for Herbach of Hungary. So we say goodbye to Matilda Derval. Herbach will be facing Zeina Amr of Egypt in the table of 8.
Yeah, that was a tight one for Tagerova as well. She's made it through. She'll face Meseros, and we now move to a single piece. And we start the top of the draw. Sazonova, the neutral athlete, taking on the German Farmand. Farmand fenced really well in the 16 to beat Speakman of Great Britain. Sazonova is the top seed after the fencing seeding round, which happened yesterday, and she's laid a trap for Farmand to run into, closed the distance up, teased Farmand into attacking, and then reopened and hit with that extra reach of the pommel grip she's using.
It's really difficult to get past Sazonova. She's just waiting patiently for her opponent to attack and waiting for that counter attack. And such great precision she has. She gets it on the leg.
Yeah, that's a beautiful hit. She's using, for those who know, and if you want to try and learn a little bit more about fencing, the fencers are using full steps and half steps. Sazonova just did a little half step back, lured Farmand into distance, and then launched her lunge. And this time, ready with the second wave of the action. She tried the same thing again, half step back, a lunge, didn't hit with that, but was quick enough to recover from the lunge, pick up the blade for a single hit. In control of this one now, with just a little over 5 seconds to go. Top seed after the ranking round, Sazonova is going through to the semi-finals of the fencing DE here at the Junior World Championships. Showed some great fencing though, Farmand, in the fight against Speakman.
Yeah, no, very promising fencing there, but let's just have a look at the replays. Sazonova just really clocking her actions to the point. She gets it either on the foot or either on the arm. But it just goes to show the top-ranked fencer here, showing her gold medal experience from as of last year. But here we have the two Olympians up against each other, Piece A. This will be an interesting bout.
Hachka from Czechia up against Ismail of Egypt. Ismail on the right-hand side. The Egyptians are one of the, if not the strongest nation at the moment in modern pentathlon. And Ismail showing straight away why that is.
Both of the athletes were at the Olympic Games in Paris 2024.
Doubles are in favor of Ismail here. Levachkova, the lower seeded fencer, she will need to create an attack, set it up, try to get past Ismail, but Ismail's on her feet and she goes for the flesh. Perfectly timed there on Levachkova's step forward.
Great footwork. She was poised, ready to go. wound up like a spring. Nice tight, deep on guard position for Malak. And just picking off the doubles with aplomb. And this is down to feet. You can have all the moves with your hand in the world in fencing, but if you can't move your feet, you're a sitting duck. And again, picking up the blade. That little trap, this time using a full step to lure in Hlavackova, and Ismail progresses through to the semi-finals. That final hit, you can see she just steps back and then stops. She's done enough to create momentum forwards from Hlavackova and pounces when the opportunity arises. I think she did that 3 times in that fight.
Sort of luring her opponent in with her footwork to get her confusing when the step forward is happening, because it's ideally you want to attack on your opponent's step forward and get that action in.
When they're off balance, basically.
Yeah.
1 foot on the ground, can't change direction. 2 more quarterfinals to come here. Now we'll see Amma against Herbak, Egypt against Hungary. Say that, I think we've gone to the top of the draw, have we? No, it is definitely Herbak on the left.
Amma on your right, the higher seed offensive, just waiting for Herbak to make an attack and do a counter attack. We saw her do some brilliant preems in the previous bout, but it's Herbak who gets it on Zena Amma's attack.
Amma just attacking from too far away there. Herbak was ready for that.
Amma applying pressure now, looking for the blade, but she goes for another flesh, doesn't quite get it. No point. On the duck there from Amma. Just underneath the hand, I assume.
Yeah, she came underneath, that's for sure. And all of a sudden, target disappeared in front of Herbak. That is a really superb piece of footwork from the Hungarian. Half step forwards, your opponent thinks that they're then in distance, lured Amma into launching the attack. Amma just moved her front foot back, created the space for the riposte. And for me, Amma's just attacking from a bit too far away. And I know you've only got a minute in modern pentathlon épée, but she's not setting the hits up. And as soon as I say that, she defies me completely, doesn't set anything up, launches off the start and levels the score.
So Herbak applying pressure now, pushing Amma to the back of the piece, but Amma goes try to go behind, but it's Herbak who gets it just in time. Only 3 seconds left on the clock. This is where it gets intense, and she goes for the flesh.
Yeah, Amma just needs to draw level. Higher seed, she would go through if the score's level on time, but time's going to run out on her here. Oh, no, it isn't. Oh, no, it isn't. An apologetic hug there because she ran into her afterwards, but that's leveled the score, and now Herbak, dead in the water. Half a second to go, and Amma just about did enough.
Wow, no, great effort there from Amma, just running forward to get that last point. And because she's the highest seeded fencer here, as the clock timed out, she automatically advances through to the semi-finals. It will be an all-Egyptian semi-finals with Malak Ismail and Amma. That's what it needed to get from Amma.
Great stuff there, and no wonder that's the reaction from the coaching crew.
I'm getting goosebumps here. Goosebumps indeed. That was quite incredible.
Thought she'd had time. She was under 2 seconds to go.
I'm sure she thought so too.
So last of the quarterfinals, Messeros of Hungary takes on Tegerova, the neutral athlete. Hungarians looking for at least one in the fencing direct elimination, the first discipline in the women's B semi-final. Beautiful ducking counter.
Tagarova with the French grip on your right, trying to make use of that extra reach. Meszaros pushing her opponent towards the back of the piece, trying to set up the attack as she does so, but it's a double. Double's not in favor of Meszaros, but for Tagarova. Meszaros just trying to get past Tagarova here. But Tagarova goes for the duck and gets it underneath, but it's still double points. 23 seconds left on the clock. Meszaros will need to change her attack up. Will she go for a flash? Will she go for a surprise attack? Three, four with 13 seconds left. Tagarova just patiently waiting. She can go for that doubles again, but it's Meszaros who needs to go for a single point. And it's victorious for Tagarova.
Yeah, setting up a very interesting semi-final. Tagarova and Sazonova, both fencing the same way. Both of the pommelers, the Tagarova on the right-hand side with that ducking counter-attack to score the first point of the match. That set things up for her to contain for the rest of the match. But she fences in a very similar way to Sazonova, so it's going to be very interesting to see those two meet in the semi-finals. Amma will face Ismail, the all-Egyptian bottom half of the draw. So down to 4 in the fencing direct elimination round.
So Sazonova and Tagarova probably train against each other, so we'll be familiar with their actions. And
styles so similar though, isn't it?
Yeah. And both French grips here almost mirror image, spitting mirror images of each other, so this will be an interesting bout.
I think this could be 1-0, or certainly 1 point in it, because neither of them are going to take any kind of risk here. The way they fence is to lure their opponents on. Now, if they're both doing the same thing, we're going to, well, ultimately, we're going to come down to Tagarova going to have to go for it because she's the lower seed. And that's exactly what happens, and they both miss with their first efforts. And to an extent, Tagarova was a little lucky there.
Sazonova just doing her feint attacks, but Tagarova responding, making the score 2-0. Sazonova needs to apply pressure. Sazonova is the highest seeded athlete from the semi-final. She flashes, but it's a double point. Goes for a foot touch, doesn't quite get it. Now, usually if you miss a foot touch, you could use it as a feint again and try go for another action on top. Oh, just getting the score right. And I think they'll have to confirm where to start the bout.
But the clock didn't stop, so now they will start the clock a little bit later.
The value of that first hit, so critical in this matchup between two fencers who prefer to contain. Done and dusted, and it's Tagarova, the lower seed, albeit only by a couple of places, who is through to the fencing DE final. And we have to find out who's going to face her next, which of the two Egyptians. The critical thing in this fight was the first hit. And from there, Tagarova scored it. Sazonova just had to chase her.
So the same thing here. Athletes from the same nation, they probably train against each other, so familiar with every single action that they do. Hall is going to be quiet, coaches are going to be quiet, and
we're not.
Yeah.
So here we go. Zaina Amma, Malik Ismail. Which of these two Egyptians is going to make it through? Ismail on the right.
Amr goes for the flesh there.
Gets the first point. 1-0.
Excellent timing from Amr. Ismail will need to respond.
Were used.
Amr is great with her flashes, but Ismail tries to go for the leg touch there, doesn't quite get it. Pushing her opponent towards the back, looking for the flash, and she gets that single point. Ismail 1, Amr 1. 38 seconds left.
Well, it's back on Amr now. Fancy she might go after this again, just to get the lead. Lower ranked fencer of the two. She does, but this time attacking from too far away. Didn't set that one up as well as she did at first.
30 seconds.
We've seen Amr with her flashes, her iconic flashes, and just Ismail waiting for that attack again. 20 seconds left on the clock. Ismail moving around the piece, trying to change the tactic up. Single point for Malak Ismail. Amr will need to respond. We've seen her respond in the previous rounds, getting that last touch in the last few seconds.
She needs to fix her blade.
She just looked a little bit without an idea there, stepping into distance, and that's when Ismail took advantage of it.
If that angle is too much.
So we just see Ismail fixing her blade there, just the bend of it
And now it seems okay. So
after
they continue.
clashing into each other.
10 seconds left.
And Amr goes for the flash, but trips over her feet there. I hope she's all right. Good sportsmanship between the two of them. Only less than 7 seconds left. Amr will go for the attack, but she ducks. Doesn't quite get it. It's Ismail who gets that point.
She got away with that trick earlier on, Amr, but Ismail, as he said, knows her well and finishes the job off with a double. Malak Ismail through to the fencing direct elimination final, where she'll face Tagarova.
Yes, a grand applause to the athletes. And now we will
Just the
see
final replays of that bout. Ismail getting those single touches, which was key to her winning this bout.
Ismail from Egypt.
Team Egypt looking really pleased with that result.
I bet that's her fencing coach. Well, good points for both of the Egyptian pentathletes, but it's Ismail who's got the chance to go just a little bit further up the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, even having to have qualified to the semi-finals is just great already, and just getting those extra points. But here we have the final bout. Tagarova on your left, Ismail on your right.
Final vote. The women's semi-final.
I thought this was going to be an interesting one, both prepared to be a little cagey, but you fancy the Egyptians more likely to push the fight on, push it on early as well. Try and put Tagarova in a position where she will have to revert to her B game of pressing her opponent.
Tagarova going for the foot touch there. And she slowly applies pressure, but it's Ismail who gets that surprise attack, flesh on Tagarova.
Yeah, the explosive speed and hitting on the top of the arm negates the extra reach that Tagarova's got with that pommel grip. And now, because Tagarova's got to go after it, Ismail knows what's coming.
Tagarova went for the attack there, didn't quite get it.
21 seconds left.
Athletes will start where ref called hold, but it seems like Tagarova just fixing her weapon. Yeah, so they have to start where they called hold, as there was no point. Tagarova applying pressure. It gets untidy, but no point, because it was after halt.
Yeah, the referee had called halt there, definitely.
Time is ticking down. Oh, that looked like it got to Tagarova's shoulder there.
Yeah, completely accidental, just wore the hit, because they both closed the distance at the same time.
Apologetic from Ismail, and 16 seconds left. And it's victorious for Malak Ismail of Egypt, who will have those 250 points. But even that, Tagarova with 244 going into the obstacles.
Yeah, clever play there from Malak Ismail. Took the fight early to Tagarova to get the single point lead, which is so vital. It's not game over if you go one down, but the percentages are very much against you, and Tagarova doesn't like to play a chasing game. So solid fencing from Ismail to take the fencing DE round, the first of the 5 disciplines, and this is how the table looks. Ismail coming through from the bottom, beating Piavets, Lavachkova, Amma, and then Tagarova to claim top prize in the fencing direct elimination. So off to one discipline. This is how the table looks. Ismail at the top, Tagarova taking second. Good points for Sazonova and Amma. Mezaros and Farmand will be happy with their fencing performance as well, particularly Farmand, who's moved up 3 places from the starting list. Here's the middle of the table. This is what we're going to continue to focus on throughout this session. And Lavachkova and Herbach moving up 3 and 6 places respectively. Chasing Pack will still feel they've got a chance. But sitting down at the bottom, Vera Kadkevich, a neutral athlete, on 196 points. That is the fencing done. Next up, we'll move on to obstacles. But before we do, let's take a look back at the fencing round. Well, the fencing now complete here in this women's semi-final B. So we move from the piste to the obstacle course. 70 metres, 8 obstacles. You do go off in pairs, but you're racing against the clock rather than your opponent. So the faster the time, the more points you score. Women's semi-final B, obstacles up next.
Yes, so we up for an exciting start of the obstacles. Let's keep in mind that with these obstacles, we have obstacles number 5 and 7, which has changed from the qualifications. We now have the ascending bars at obstacle number 5 and the swinging globes. We saw the semi-final A that it seemed to have been a bit challenging for the women. We clocked up for one of the fastest times in semi-final B to be around 32 seconds. So keep in mind that we'll be seeing some of the times around there, maybe even about 35 or 40 seconds.
You talked about pacing as well, so, and we'll see different approaches to the different obstacles from the different athletes. Not all the athletes do them all the same, do they?
No, definitely not. And I think each athlete, you can just see the visualization here from Colleen Flavon, and that's the most important thing with obstacles, is each athlete has their own method to approaching the obstacles. They know exactly which bar they're going to attack for, and it's just all about confidence there. But all smiles from the athletes to start the obstacles there. You can see some of the taping around the hands, because hands do get blistering and cuts there. Great angle from the giant steps, but here we go.
Well, this is the lineup. They will go in pairs, but as we said, this is about the clock rather than beating your opponent. Obviously, you beat your opponent, you've gone faster than your opponent, but you're chasing down the fastest possible time out of the 18 athletes.
I want to remind everyone that for the first time,
So we'll have
there is
9 pairs going out,
so you can
and it
follow the
happens
competition
pretty
individually.
darn quick. We have seen times of over 60 seconds. Don't let that put you off too much. It doesn't mean you're completely out of it, but you definitely want to be looking around the time being something beginning with a 3 or a 4. That's the lineup down the left-hand side of your screen at the moment, the standing as they are. So down at the bottom, two will go up against each other. Katkevich and Flavin. Flavin closest to us.
We can start it for the women's semi-final group B.
Well, up on the starting line, I'll talk you through the obstacles
So, ladies and gentlemen,
as we
please welcome the athletes of the first heat.
go through this first pairing, and we'll get a good idea of the time that can be set as well.
B, representing France, Colleen Flavin.
Flavin on the left as we look, Katkevich on the right. So we'll start off with the steps into the big wheel, and they're already on the tilted ladders. You'll see some athletes try and just swing through, especially the taller ones, without the ladders tilting at all. Flavin through the tilting ladders and through the over, under and through. And now onto what I think is one of the toughest obstacles on this course, the ascending bars into the giant steps, and now the very tricky swinging globes. Guess what? It's not over after this either. As painful as that must be, you've got to climb the wall, hit the buzzer, and Flavin through with time of 39:29.
Katkevich is just making her way back through the start of the swinging globes. She has one more chance to attempt this obstacle. She's skipping the swinging globes, and she's got it. She's got to dig deep to the finish wall. Gets tough, but she hits the buzzer.
59 seconds.
Just cost her some time there with the swinging globes. Swinging globes are one of the most challenging obstacles on this course, but great effort there from Flavin of France.
She'll be happy, won't she? 39 seconds and some change.
Yeah, no, she'll be really pleased with that.
Look at the determination, but calm as well. Oh, look at that. I mean, missing the third ascending bar and going straight to the fourth. That's incredible upper body strength.
I wonder if that's exactly what she was visualizing before the race, because we saw exactly that. But here we go, next two athletes.
Second out, it's Chansu Kurt and Milana Piavets.
Her just swinging through the tilted ladders there, wasting no time as she goes to over, under and through. Germans showing great class with the obstacles. Skips the two of them through the giant steps, but here let's see what she does at the globes. Doesn't quite skip one, but she does then, creating such great momentum. Just maybe lost some time there, but she's going left to right now. She has to get control of her swinging action. This isn't quite ideal, the swinging action that she's got there. Broke momentum. Oh.
Yeah, going sideways there. That's why she slowed up a little bit, and like you say, she lost a bit of time. 45:48. But it's Piavets that's struggling here. She's already had a fault at the swinging globes.
Yeah, one more fault and she will be eliminated. So unfortunate for Piavets there, but she will learn from this. The globes are challenging, so is forgiving.
How did Kurt get into the trouble she got into on those swinging globes? Because she seemed to be moving superbly well.
Yeah, I mean, look at her do this decision ladders. I mean, we haven't seen any of the athletes skip so many through this morning, but it was just the swinging globes again that she struggled and lost some time there with.
Not as much as Piavets, who was eliminated. And we move straight on to the next heat. Yurt from Switzerland taking on Biernacka from Poland.
Right, your current junior world champion as she's swinging through, showing great class. Just falls behind with that last tilted ladders. Over, under, and through. She makes her way to the Ascension bars. I'm quite interested to see what she does here, but she skips through the first one, makes it with ease. On to the giant steps, to the swinging globes, goes for the one. Doesn't quite skip the one, she's playing it safe, but that will be what she needs as she skips the last few.
Wow. That's how to do it, eh? What's that time? It's 43, so we're looking now that somewhere around 45 seconds is going to be a reasonable time in this semi-final so far.
Great to see you're cheering her opponent on there for the last few seconds, and big hugs at the finish line. Smiles there for Polish athletes.
Heat number 4 on lane A, representing Italy.
Yeah, really got some momentum going on those tilting globes, swinging globes, say. They really got the flow going. So on to heat number 4, Sarah Forty and Gina Speakman. Speakman from Great Britain, closest to us.
Oh, Gina Speakman just swinging through to the second tilted ladders. Excellent there from Speakman. She goes over, flips over, under, and through. Let's see what she does. That Ascension bar skips the first one, makes it look so easy, finishes up.
She's incredible, isn't she?
Onto the swinging globes. Doesn't quite skip one, but she plays it safe. Just needs to get through this obstacle. But 40 onto the swinging globes too.
Trying to keep herself up on the obstacle by that.
And that's it. As she goes for the finish wall, she's going to have to dig deep for that buzzer.
She's happy. I think that what we've seen here in this semi-final B is this particular obstacle. They seem to be taking a little bit more cautiously.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, earlier this morning we had a problem of a little bit of moisture on the course, so we did have it cleaned up and dried up as much as possible. But ultimately, the swinging globes and the Ascension bars add an element of difficulty there. But great effort there from Speakman of Great Britain. Had to ace that landing there.
Put everything into it, didn't she? And this is what happened to 40. She gives us a philosophical smile. We go into heat number 5, Chloe Johnson of Great Britain on the far side, up against Mathilde Deval of France, closest to us.
Oh, Johnson just flying through tilted ladders there. Finish that up. Flips over the over, under, and through. Skips the first bar. Makes this look easy. Deval making her way through too, but it's onto the giant steps. Let's see what she does at the globes. Skips that one. Skips the next one. Will she skip it again? Oh, great class there from Johnson.
It's going to be a good time, this. Oh, the fastest time so far, 36.06. And this isn't going to be too far behind for Deval. Not bad at all, 45.59. That is a quick heat, that one.
Yeah, no, that was quite incredible there from Johnson, setting one of the faster times of this semi-final. Some words there from Deval. I think Deval just also lost a bit of seconds there on the globes. But let's have a look at Johnson, how she skipped through those globes. That's what she needed for this fast time.
Wonderful at the end to see the athletes congratulate each other. We move on to heat number 6. Emma Herbach from Hungary gets a big cheer from the crowd here. She's up against Lucy Klavachkova from Czechia. Oh.
Just latching from each tilted ladder there from Klavachkova. Great work there. She makes her way to the Ascension bar. Well, she skips that first one. Going 1-2 to the next bar, but Herbeck not too far behind her. She's catching up. Onto the swinging globes. Levachkova doesn't quite skip it, but Herbeck falls behind as she skips. Herbeck is catching up here.
She's overtaken it, isn't she?
It's just that swinging motion at the end, but Herbeck makes it through. She digs deep for the finish buzzer.
Not a bad time. Levachkova slowed up on the swinging globes. She got herself with a bit of sideways movement, the athlete from Czechia, and just had to slow down, which arrested her momentum.
Just see that snatching from Levachkova, but here you can see it's really important that forward-backward movement instead of that left-to-right movement there on the swinging globes, which will cost you some time.
So another Hungarian gets a big cheer, Emma Messeros. She goes up against the German on the far side, Nadja Farmand.
Keep an eye out for Messeros. Vermont fault there, so she has to repeat it again. But Messeros flying through, over, under, and through. She's competed at the World Cup, showing great class. She skips that first Asian bar. Goes one by one for each bar, from the giant steps into the swinging globes. Will she skip it? And she skips that swinging globe, that forward-backward move. That's what she needs, and she aces it. She makes her way through the finish wall. It's fast for Messeros, 37 seconds.
Second fastest time so far, I think, that one.
Farmand skipping the swinging globes there, creating momentum from scratch as she finishes up and clocks on around 57
Not
seconds.
a bad time,
at
given
all.
that she missed, she had to redo one of the obstacles.
Yeah, I mean, a lot better than getting eliminated, having a time. So great effort there from Farmand and Messeros. But let's have a look at the playbacks here. But Messeros just executing the swinging globes with that forward-backward momentum. Great stuff there from Messeros of Egypt, of Hungary. Sorry.
Yeah, fabulous stuff, gets a big cheer, but we move on straight away. Zaina Ama of Egypt on the far side, up against Victoria Sazonova, the neutral athlete. Oh, look at that from Ama.
Just acing the landing there, Ama. She makes her way through the over, under, and through into the decision bars. She skips the first one. Oh, falls behind with the bars, but she's got the momentum going one by one. Sazonova catches up. She goes for the giant steps into the swinging globes. Ama makes her way to the swinging globes. Will she skip it? And she skips the globe, catching up to Sazonova, but it's Sazonova who makes her way to the finish wall, clocking around 40 seconds, and Ama digging deep, clocks around 45 seconds. Great stuff from Ama.
Yeah, not bad from Ama, but she lost so much momentum through those ascending bars.
Yeah, she almost just paused there instead of just backing herself up and going one by one. But great comeback from Ama.
Yeah, she was miles ahead after the over, under, and through. But not a bad time, 45 seconds. We have one more heat to go. Amina Tagirova. She's on the far side. She's going up against Malak Ismail.
To the tilted ladders.
Synchrony through the first two obstacles.
Mirror image, but it's Malak who leaps for that tilted ladder there to over, under, and through.
Here comes the bars.
Doesn't quite skip the first decision bar, but she goes one by one for the decision bars. She's in the top position of the competition here, so trying to play it safe, doesn't want to get eliminated, but great stuff here from Ismail and Tagirova. Tagirova skips that swinging globe, so does Ismail. Leaps for the finish wall. No time to waste here from Ismail.
Solid from both of them. Tagirova doing well as well. Just a couple of seconds between them. gotta say, for Ismail, as one of the shorter athletes in the field, she tackled that pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was an interesting debate in the beginning with the obstacles. How would it affect the different heights of athletes? And we see how whether you have shorter limbs or whatever, you sort of adapt with your style and your way of going through the obstacles. If you have longer limbs, you'll go for the skipping motion, but all about building that momentum. And that is what Ismail did here, as you can see with the playback, doing the 1-2 actions with the ascending bars.
I think you called it her. I think she was just taking it carefully through those swinging globes, whereas we saw Tagarova just trying to catch up and maintain that second position in the table. Brilliant stuff here in the obstacle in the women's semi-final B at the Pentathlon World Championships. So the standings after two disciplines, after the obstacle, we'll see that Ismail remains at the top. Mezaros has climbed 4 places with her performance. Tangarov's dropped a couple of places, but still nicely in the top 4. Sazanova sitting in 3rd. Amma had a little bit of a problem, and she's dropped 3 places, but look at Chloe Johnson. In fact, both the Brits did really well through the obstacles. Johnson climbing 4 places. Middle of the table, this is where the race is on. Glavachkova of Czechia dropping down a place, but look at the move from Colleen Flavin, 8 places up into 10th. If she can keep that momentum going, she will be in contention here as we expected. Chansu Kurt, German, climbing 3 places as well. And now the chasing pack. Well, 1 move up for Kadkovic, the neutral athlete. Despite Gina Speakman having a great obstacle course, she's actually dropped a place. Now that completes 2 of the disciplines. And next up is the swim. But before we go to that, let's take a look back at the obstacles. Temperature rising here in the City of Kings. Obstacles complete in this women's semi-final B. Next up, we go to the pool, a 200-metre freestyle swim. Just like that, we are 2 kilometres down the road. And the athletes through this transition get a little bit of a longer break, but they have to make the journey across town, so they have to decide where they're going to get changed into their kit, make the functional transition before making the logistical transition, which they do partly by foot to vehicles waiting outside this multi-sports complex in Székesfehérvár, at 120 kilometres outside of Budapest. Fortunately, it's not 120 kilometres for the athletes. Here we go. It's a just shy of 2-kilometre transition from here in the air-conditioned vehicles, much needed in these conditions, across town. And we do a little left, and we're at the pool. And they hop out. They don't do it quite as quickly as this. And then this is what faces them, the 50-metre pool here. That means that we will have 4 laps for the athletes to complete their 200 metres. And again, this is a race against the clock. And already one of the I think that's British fans, or probably coaches, sitting in the stand, just waiting for the athletes to turn up.
I actually think it's Poppy Clark, who competed earlier on today, just missed out on the finals for the women's. But yeah, as we make our way for the start.
Well, we do have a little wait, but fortunately, we've got a little chat with one of the German athletes who competed in the first of the semi-finals. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hi, I'm Amaya, a modern pentathlete from Germany. My transition between OCR and swimming, so I tried to plan it before with my trainers so that they get every stuff I don't need anymore, so I don't have to worry about them. And then after OCR, my arms are very tense, so I tried to shake them out. And then mentally I tried to cut it and don't think about OCR anymore, so if it worked or if it doesn't work, and just focus about how I will swim the 200 meters. True, we don't train the transition between the disciplines at home, because a lot of times we have school between our training sessions, so we can't do a lot of training sessions behind each other. Sometimes in holidays, there we train it a bit. For example, between swimming and then we just go directly running. But we have time to change, so it's not like in competition that we have to change really fast. Sometimes I do things like visualizations, and so I think I should do it more, but I forgot it sometimes. But yeah, we should do something like this. So actually I should, yeah.
Well, there we go. Well, we had an interesting tussle between a couple of Germans, didn't we, in semi-final A, and El Masri was part of that.
Yeah, so it was actually Josephine Unterberger from Germany who was also in the contention to try qualify for the finals. So what happened was they had a leading pack with a 20-second head start, Farida Khalil.
Into the laser run.
Into the laser run. So that ultimately created a 1:30 starting pack, and Unterberger really showed some class laser run there, but just didn't quite manage to get it. But either way, it was Al Masri who just got her spot there for the finals.
Yeah, so it's that accumulation of points earlier on. Let's not forget what an incredible obstacle she had. Amaya El Masri, she kind of not won it on that, but it certainly gave her a big load of points.
Oh, definitely, and I think that was what she needed to help her get into that position. I mean, she struggled a bit with the laser run with the shooting. She did start off in third position, but still managed to fight for that spot there. But I think we're yet to see another exciting laser run for today. And so far we have Malik Ismail, who is in the lead. And not too far off behind her is Emma Mezaros. Mezaros has competed at also a few of the World Cups, and I must say she really applied her experience there from the World Cups. And a lot of these junior athletes have been competing at World Cups. And with that to say, World Cup final too, so we'll be seeing a lot of these junior athletes using this experience maybe as like a practice round for World Cup final.
Well, what a beautiful segue, Alida. Because we've got an interview with Florina Yurt at the recent World Cup in Bulgaria.
Hello, it's Florina Yurt again. Today I'm explaining the change from the obstacle to the swimming. So after the obstacle, obviously your arms are a little bit tired. So what I try to do is shake them to shake the lactate away, and then I try to focus on what's next, swimming. So I'll try to change as fast as possible, and then I go to the pool, try to do some warm up and when there is some time, I'll swim a little bit, directly jump in the pool. What I try to do in the swimming is, well, it depends on how good I am positioned. When I'm good, I know like today, I didn't go all out because for me it's harder to get the lactate away in the next day. So I just try to go on a good pace and yeah.
Florina, yeah, she does make a really good point about where you stand at this point after two disciplines, after the fencing D round and the obstacle course, about how hard you hit the pool here, getting ready for that laser run. If you're in a good position, you don't need to go quite as hard as perhaps if you're a little bit further behind than you thought you would be.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Jurt being such an all-round athlete, she has the liberty to decide if she can go slower in the swimming or not, depending on her position going into the swimming. But it's really important there. So athletes really they know themselves. They know if they're good in the swimming or not. They know their PB. If they have a slower time, then they have to give all it is because they know they have a slower time trying to get into the laser run. But whether that be they have a stronger laser run time and they're more confident to push in the laser run after having some lactic in the legs from the swimming. So it's really just all about knowing yourself as a pentathlete, what are your strengths lie and where your weaknesses lie too. But today is really just all about that top 9 finishing. Those in the top 1, 2 and 3 won't necessarily push for their fastest PB times. And yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? Because so you take us from that whole thing about how hard you go in the pool because you've got to save something for the laser run. But this is not about a 1, 2, 3 finish at the end of the day. This is about making the top half of a group of 18. And as we said right at the beginning, we would be focusing on that middle pack because really that's where our interest is. There are some favourites that are going to go through that we know are going to make it, as long as they're in a solid position going into this. So it's the middle of the pack we're looking for, where the battles are going to happen. As you can see, we're just a little over 2 minutes to go before the swim starts. Let's go back to the conversation we had a little earlier about the transition here. Good thing for the athletes, especially as the weather's got a little bit warmer this afternoon.
Yeah, and I think, as we said, I think the walk also allows the athletes just to catch their breath a bit. With fencing being such a rush of adrenaline going through obstacle where it's just that power and pushing through. So it's now just taking a breath, taking a step back, getting a new mindset for the start of the swimming. It's also just changing into the racing suits. And I think that changing to the racing suits automatically helps you get into swimming mode and swimming focus. And
it's like a trigger, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
That you can use to...
I think that and the smell of chlorine.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the good thing here is as both the leader and ourselves clamber around for our paperwork, which has just flown everywhere because of a brief gust of wind, we can have a look at the start list. We've got 3 heats coming up. And the good thing about the way the competition works now is that before it used to be that the heats would get faster and faster and faster, but now we go on ranking. We've got a mix of swimmers in each of the heats. And in heat number 1, going in lane number 1, it's Gina Spiegman of Great Britain. In 2, Nadia Farmand of Germany. Poland's Maja Biernacka goes in 3, followed by Vera Katkiewicz in 4, Sara Forti in 5, and Milana Piavitz in lane number 6. The fastest swimmer in this group is the Italian in lane number 5, but Gina Spiegman in lane number 1, not too bad either, 2:17 going through qualification. Not necessarily an indication of their best times, but certainly the times they needed to do to get through to this semi-finals. There is the Brit in lane number 1. She swam a 2:17 dead in qualification. Here we go then. Heat number 1 of 3 of the swim is underway.
Heat number 1 does compose of the lower ranked fencers in this semi-final. So we might see these pentathletes giving it their all just to fight for that spot in the final. We see Speakman there in your screen, who makes her way nearing to the end of the first 50. In lane 5 of Italy, just behind Speakman. This first 100 is just about setting pace, getting enough breaths in for that lactic acid. 40 of Italy in your screen there, breathing every second stroke, as we said, trying to get as much oxygen in. 40 just dragging that lead through. And I can imagine Speakman is looking to her right, trying to keep up with 40, just pacing herself amongst her, because she must know that they have similar times. But they turn for their first 100 meters. It's Speakman and 40 neck and neck here, pacing each other really greatly. This is great stuff from Speakman and 40 as they make their way. This is the third 50. This is where it gets tough. They make their way for the last turn. Great underwater work from Speakman. You see her kicking and motoring through for that last 50. She's giving it her all to try and qualify for the final of this Junior World Championships. Speakman, 21 years of age, so this is her last Junior World Champs and is fighting for that position. 40 just dragging through.
Well, the top 2 from qualification in terms of the time for the swim are going to finish first and second in this first heat. 40 followed by Speakman. Coming through in lane 3, Biernacka from Poland. Adja Farman, Germany, finishing 4th. And then on the far side, Milana Pivot. One more to come, and that's Vera Kadkevich to complete heat number 1. And it's all about the time. Unfortunately, because we've got a pool that's a couple of kilometres away, we've got some technical gremlins in the way, and that means that makes it a little bit difficult for us in terms of the timings. But fortunately, we've got a brilliant little graphics team who will get us the times just as quickly as they can.
Yeah, that's right, because in modern pentathlon, the timing in swimming ultimately determines the points that you will get for your current ranking and your current standing. But we now wait as we watch the highlights of heat number 1 and welcome heat 2.
Yeah, it's here we go. Positions at least for the start of heat number 2. I'll come up pretty thick and fast. Emma Hairback of Hungary, host nation, will be right behind her. She's in lane 1, followed by Mathilda Derval from France. Pavachkova, Czechia in 3. Second French athlete in this heat, Colleen Flavin in 4. Katarina Yurt and Chansu Kurt complete the lineup. Now, there's nowhere near the 2:16, 2:17 that we saw from 40 in qualification in this group. I clock our fastest swimmer as the Swiss athlete, Katarina Yurt. We heard from her sister, her twin sister, in the break. Just getting announced out to the crowd in the swimming venue.
This is a really important heat because athletes are only points away from each other. So this one will really determine the top 9 positions of this competition. But they're all And they start with the underwater into the breakthrough. But great underwater there from Yurt. There at the top of your screen.
For those new to well, swimming, I suppose, but pentathlon swimming, you say great underwater start. What is the key at the beginning to get the best start?
So underwater start meaning just really, as you dive through, just getting those, say, 3 to 4 butterfly kicks, and that ultimately just helps you with that streamline and to break out into that first stroke of the freestyle. And it's really important after every single tumble turn from 50 to 50, and can really knock off some points and knock off some seconds in your 200 meter. So it's relying either on your underwater, your style, as well as your dive, just to help you knock off a few seconds in your 200 meter. But we see here Yurt on the top of the screen just dragging a lead there, and not far behind her, Matilda Derval. Athletes are really points away from each other in this heat, so the swim will be quite important. And as you can see, Yurt, she is doing a good effort here. The Yurt twins are quite the all-round pentathletes, really diverse with their abilities, and when needed she can put on a good swim, as she is doing so right here, picking up some pace in a third 50. We know this third 50 to be a difficult 50, but coping well. Matilda Derval also not far behind her, setting pace.
You say the third 50 is the toughest, and I believe you, don't worry. But why is the fourth not the hardest? Surely you're the most exhausted at that point.
I feel like it's mentally, you know, it's the last 50 that you have to give everything for, but it's that third 50 is that awkward in between the 100 and the last 50, where you usually do a slower time in your 200 and you have to sort of keep yourself up and keep the pace up before you do everything in that last 50. Sort of breaking each 50 down by 50 just to make things feel a bit easier for yourself mentally. But we have Yurt and Matilda fighting off neck and neck. As you can see, they're looking at each other, pacing with each other just to get a good time. But it's Yurt who will finish first and Matilda Derval right after her.
Yeah, close one. We knew it would be. I think it was Colleen Flavien who came in.
Flavien, my apologies, yeah.
No, third, I think she came in. I think it was all right. It was to Matilda Derval who just got pipped by Katarina Yurt. Two French finishing second and third. And great description of the race and pacing of the race. And that start that you talked about from Yurt, breaking through the water, getting those kicks out and starting the flow, the momentum. Pacing this is important, but also working out where you are in the rankings may have a bearing on how hard you push yourself. Yurt and Derval with the two fastest times. Flavien coming in third and just inside her Klavachkova. So we move on to the third and final heat. The leader in the pack here, Malak Ismail, going in lane one from Messeros, Sazonova, Taglarova, Johnson and Amma. And the fastest time here, by some way, you have to say, is the neutral athlete Amina Taglarova. She swam at a 2:14 dead in qualification. Not well, 5 seconds down from her. Ismail had a second quickest time, 2:19.84. But she's probably not going to feel the need to push too hard here.
No, I wouldn't think so, especially in the position that she's in. But given that she might be a really good swimmer and does it without even trying.
Yeah, she might just swim. Well, sometimes you get in the water and, well, if you're anything like me, you sink like a stone. But I'd say my youngest daughter, she gets in the water and effortlessly swims. And she's like, I call her Flipper. And maybe Malak is one of those. Heat number 3 here in the 200 metres, third of the modern pentathlon disciplines here at the 2025 Junior World Championships. Up and running, off we go. The pacing is going to be so important. We've got to keep an eye on Malek. She may not finish first. She may be containing herself here, but in the middle, Tagarova in lane number 4 has the fastest time.
Yep, so as you can see, Zaina Amr in your screen there. So we have Malek Ismail, the closest to your screen, who is the highest ranked fencer. Then going up towards your screen is the lower ranked pentathlete here, but they turn on the first 50. Great turn there from all these swimmers. Malek Ismail setting pace, kicking really well. And we did call it Tagarova. It's just taking her time here. She's not using all her energy in this 200, but it's still early days in this 200 meters. Tagarova just gliding through with that with great ease. But it looks like Ismail is just looking to her right to spot Tagarova, just to pace with her, keep up with her as they turn for the third 50 of this 200. As you can see, Ismail is fighting through. You can see the wave she's making with her kicking.
Yes, there's no lack of effort, is there, from the Egyptian?
Now she's making this look really easy, but so is Tagarova. Just acing that style.
Well, apologies for the technical difficulties at the pool. We were just in the last of the 3 heats, and it was Tagarova, the neutral athlete, leading the way, but the leader of the pack in terms of modern pentathlon points, Malek Ismail, keeping up with her in second place. So we'll try and bring you pictures back from the pool as quickly as possible, but I fear the third heat may be done. Bear with us for now, though. Well, we've heard it from the hot seat that we have lost the connection to the pool, 2 kilometers away. But we will bring you an update on that final heat, and indeed where the standings are after the swim, just as quick as we possibly can. But we're back here at this beautiful stadium, waiting for the athletes to return for the laser run. And remember, top 9 from semi-final B will join the 9 that have already qualified from semi-final A. And it's been a rather pleasant day here, and I mean that in the terms that it's not 39 degrees. It's a rather pleasant sort of 27, 28 degrees.
Yeah, no, I really feel for the men who did their qualifications yesterday in extreme temperatures. And yeah, today was a bit cooler, so in favor for the women's semi-finals.
Well, if you're just joining us, we're just having technical difficulties at the pool. You're not just listening to a couple of mad people in a hot stadium talking about anything. You are watching the Junior World Championships in modern pentathlon here in Hungary, in the City of Kings. We've had good fun trying to pronounce that name, haven't we, Alida?
Yes, of course.
You're not even going to give it a go, are you? Sekferherva.
So, yeah. But I mean, this Junior World Champs has just really got so many stories to tell. I mean, whether it be the Olympians that we have in this semi-final B competing against each other, whether it be these a lot of these juniors will be competing at the World Cup 2 in a few weeks. I think it's next week, the World Cup final.
Yeah, they go straight from here.
Straight from here to Alexandria for the World Cup final. So,
well, sorry to interrupt you there, Alida, but it looks like we've got the results from the swim. And here are the standings after the swim. The Egyptian Malek Ismail still at the top. Tagarova having a good swim, stays in second. Meseros third, and in fact it's just a drop down of places for Meseros and Sazonova. Solid hold for Johnson of Great Britain, but this is where the race is on. In the middle, Katarina Yurt has jumped 2 places and is provisionally in the top 9 and would qualify, but watch out for Colleen Flavan and Hlachkala. And what about Speakman as well from Great Britain, climbing up a place to put herself in contention. Points difference does make a difference, so 783 as the points difference, or the points that Katarina Yurt has in 9th place. And as we go down through the last page to 18, 783, and that's a big drop down to 427. Going to be difficult for Forti and Piavets to make up the ground. Not impossible, and those cluster of Germans in 13th and 14th could be in with a shout. But the swim is done. We will move on to the laser run, but guess what? Let's go and take a look back at the swim. Well, the swim is complete here at the Junior World Championships. We will move from the pool to the climax of this women's semi-final B, and that is the laser run. Athletes will complete 5 600-metre laps, and they'll be punctuated by 4 visits to the 10-metre laser range, where the athletes need to hit 5 targets to progress. You'll see the green lights going on around that. After the 4th visit to the range, it's a race to the end. The top 9 athletes will cross the line knowing that they've made the final of the Junior World Championships. Women's semi-final B laser run to conclude the women's semi-final competition. We've already got 9 through in the women's competition from semi-final A, and we're going to find out the 9 that are going to follow. Well, we had one of the British athletes take to the track to show us what it looks like as you enter the range. You go into your slot. Poppy Clark, this is, from Great Britain, showing us how it's done. Missing the first shot, but then watch those green lights above target number 1. 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4. Can she hit 5? Yes, she can. Back out onto the 600-metre course, coming around these bends. Cluster of tight bends on the middle of the park, on grass, and then on the straights. Interesting to see where the athletes make their move for the overtakes on these straights, because it's more difficult to do it around the outside of the bends. Nice long arcing bends around the outside on the asphalt, and this track is nice and springy as well. Comfort to the knees of the athletes going around the track, and they come through the final bend and into the home straight, hoping to finish in the top 9. Just as easy as that, eh? And the athletes in their final preparations for this laser run. It's a real challenge, and the sun has come out. You may well have noticed around that POV view that Poppy Clark gave us that around the track there is a cooling station. So there's a gantry that goes over the back straight of the track that has water that's pumped out from it, and those athletes are absolutely happy to get to that point of the race. But it's time now, or we've got enough time, to have another chat with one of the athletes.
I'm Vivian Meyer, I'm from Switzerland. The transition between swimming and laser run is very stressful and we don't have much time. So I'm just doing some shots with my pistol and some sprints and just reactivate my body and not warm up. We warmed up before, so just some reactivation. I do a mental preparation before the laser run start. Just quickly close my eyes and do some shots in the air. But yeah. At home, we try to do a transition between swimming and laser run every week so that we practice the stress and everything, and also the mental preparations that we get used to it. It's a laser pistol and she works with loading, so you have to load after every shot. My specific adjustments are here, so we can adjust it here. And it's personally from every athlete, and I aim a bit below the black circle, and yeah, but it's different of every athlete.
Different for every athlete. And there is Katarina Yurt. You talked about the guns, and there's a little bit of an art to this. It's not just in terms of hitting a target. Kind of like a bit like the winter sport of biathlon. You're doing a cardio exercise and then you've got to calm your heart rate down getting into the range.
Yes, no, it's sort of the balance between the speedy feet and the calm hands, and it's just finding that change in mindset from the adrenaline going through, like giving your every utmost best in the running, to finally just calming down in that position on the shooting. I think it's also just a lot of muscle memory for the shooting. When you get into the range, the first thing you do and the first place that you look for. And as it is, practice makes perfect with the shooting. The more you do, the more practice you get in. And here we have the ice is out, sun is out. Katkevich in your screen there.
She's got a bit of work to do, hasn't she? She's, well, she would technically be 3 minutes and 2 seconds behind the leader, Ismail Malik, going out. But of course, we have this 1 minute 30-second rule. Perhaps a leader would be good to explain that, because it can have a bearing. In fact, it did have a bearing on semi-final A.
Yep, so not necessary in this final, but
phew.
Yeah. With that said, so with the 130 pack, it's hard to keep track of if athletes are overtaking. If they have a really strong laser run, it's hard to keep track if they're overtaking, because from 130, all the athletes go down the pack. And it's not necessary to say if they finish 9 after, if they started with a 130, that they qualified, as what we saw with Josephine Unterberger, because she was just further down in that pack. But with this semi-final B, we will have the 130 pack only after Farmand Nadia, who's currently in 14th position. The fight is on between Derval, Yurt and Flavin.
Yes, that is where we are going to be focused throughout the race, but we're lucky enough to have a little chat with the leader of this semi-final, Malak Ismail, earlier on this year in Budapest.
I'm Malak Ismail from Egypt, and the laser run is a mix between the running and shooting. It's 5 laps of 600 meters of running, and between each lap and the other one is a series of laser shooting. My transition between the swimming and the laser one, it's a very tight transition, just 10 minutes between the two disciplines. I tried different nutrition plans, and the one worked for me is some jelly carbohydrates. And wearing clothes very fast is hard for me, but my experience now is better than before to wear clothes faster than before.
She's some athlete. We've seen the determination from her in the pool. She didn't really need to go for it, but she kept up with the fastest swimmer in her group. And the Egyptians themselves as a group are so strong at the moment. Here's Amara as well in this final. I mean, what is it that makes them so strong? How have they become such a dominant nation?
Oh, well, we can't forget the legacy that was there before them, especially with the female athletes. We have Heidi Morsi, Sama Alda Maksoud, as well as Amira Kandel, who sort of just set the bar so high for them, and just are now here as mentors. I think we have Heidi Morsi around the competition here, who I think might be, as right what I'm saying, a mentor here for the competition. But I think it's just also just the whole training setup that they have mastered to the point, and pentathlon is just a lifestyle for them.
And it's the, you know, I know it's often people are a bit shy of talking about the cultural differences across the different countries, but there seems to me to be a certain grit and determination from these young Egyptian athletes that perhaps we don't see throughout. You know, they're not really that, they don't seem to be that interested in pacing themselves, and we've talked about pacing yourself all day. They just seem to go all out for everything and want to win every discipline.
Yeah, sort of just doing everything with passion, and I think that's amazing to see, especially at such a young age. Just, I mean, that's what it is with sports. It teaches you so many life lessons, whether being passionate about something or just pure determination and resilience. But here we have Flavon in your screen there. Athletes are just doing their last few finishing touches before the start of the laser run, getting a few shots in. One might not want to get too many shots in. Maybe you make a fault in the warm-up and that sort of rattles your confidence going in. So as what we heard Vivian Mayer, who she does the simulation instead of just the practicing, just to like see how you'll be shooting for the laser run. Novachkova, an Olympian who will be bringing experience to this competition.
And this heat, because you remember back in the Palace of Versailles at Paris 2024, it was blooming hot there.
Yeah.
And it's blooming hot here as well. There was little cover in the gardens of the Palace of Versailles at Paris 2024, and there is very little cover here as well. And as the sun rises, or the sun that gets hotter and appears from behind the clouds, this is going to be very interesting. The pacing at the beginning, especially for all these athletes, might be just a little slower than we saw earlier on today. So they've got enough left in the tank at the end. Hydration, so critical.
Yeah, I mean, we actually saw an athlete sort of, I think it's, if without hydration you'll get those cramps, and it really pays off just keeping that up. And as we can see, Malik Ismail focusing on that hydration.
On cue.
On cue there, indeed. But, I mean, it's also just in between the disciplines, and what Ismail talked about is the nutrition. I mean, they started off at 1:30 and just the whole day just trying to keep fueling up. And, I mean, you don't want to have too much fuel and get nauseous, but here we go.
Start list then for the laser run here in women's semi-final B. Top 9 making it through, top of the pile, Malik Ismail. We see that she's likely to stay ahead. Tagirova having a great swim, puts herself in second place. Meseros, Sazonova, Johnson and Herbeck complete the top 6, but it's the top 9 that we are focused on. This pack may just break away a little bit, certainly the top 4. And then look how close it is in the middle. A modern pentathlon point behind means you'll start a second behind, and that's where we get these staggered starts. Flavin, Donachka, Speakman, can they get in and past Katarina Yurt? Can anyone from the bottom 6 get into there? A minute and 9 seconds behind for Chansu Kurt and her teammate Farman. Another 14 seconds behind that. Could be very tricky for Benatska, Kadkevich, 40 and Pjavits. They will start the laser run with the biggest of handicaps. So we'll have a staggered start, and the athletes are just about making their way there now. You can just see them gathering at the bottom of your screen. There they are. Checking their positions. Have you got the right number of points for me? I think I should have one more. No, everything is absolutely bang on.
I think it's also just checking when they will go off according to the time. So because of the stagger starts, they'll go off at different times. We'll have a pack of athletes from Johnson all the way up until Flavon, as there is a 20-second difference between Sazonova and Johnson. But it's only an 8-second head start that Malik Ismail will have, followed shortly after by Tagirova and Meseros with 1 second apart. And we have the Swiss athletes, German athletes there.
Well, a minute to go, as you may well have heard from the stadium announcer, before we get this laser run underway. We will, of course, focus on the start of the race at the beginning and see Malak Ismail coming out of the start-finish area. We'll see the athletes out, but our focus, Alida, will be on that mid-pack, won't it?
Yeah, it's just great to see the great camaraderie between the athletes before the start. Their smiles are there, still learning to enjoy the sport whilst making it here on the world stage.
Are we going to be too concerned about Malak Ismail? Do we just think she's going to lead from the front like her teammate did in the first semi-final?
Well, if anything, I think she might pace herself with whoever's behind her. So if moves are made, if she's taken over, she'll just try to keep up with them and keep in the lead there. Not necessarily using everything in the tank. It's not all eyes for the gold medal just yet. So it's just making it safely to the final.
And off we go with the laser run, and it's Malak Ismail of Egypt who gets us underway. And the next two come out almost together, Tagarova and Messeros. And then behind them, Sazonova, the neutral athlete. Chloe Johnson will come out of the start-finish next. She's just waiting for her call. And off she goes, the British athlete, in a good position. She'll hope to have a good shoot. Then we have the next two coming out together, Emma Hairbach of Hungary and Egypt's Zaina Amma. Now we want to keep an eye on Amma. She might make a push early doors, and then it's Matilda Derval and Katarina Yurt going out, and now the chasing pack are after them as well. Colleen Flavin of France and Lucy Hlachka from Czechia, the ones that we need to keep an eye on. Katarina Yurt is going to be a feature for the early part of this race because she is the one sitting in 9th place. The Swiss athlete looking at the moment like she's going to try and close in on those in front of her.
Yeah, Yurt has her eyes on Derval, but it looks like Derval's also making some early moves here. It all comes down to the first shooting series where anything can shuffle up in the standings.
Well, that's where we've got to watch it, and that's where you're in charge, Alida. And we're just seeing at the front a change of lead, as you predicted, Alida. Malak Ismail is just pacing herself, and they're coming around the final bend at the leaders, but like I say, we're focused on that middle of the pack. Flavin and Vlachkova 10th and 11th in the white shirts behind the red-vested Swiss athlete Yurt.
Looks like Messeros is making her way to the shooting station.
Yeah, she does that. We see with Yurt, and in fact have heard it, and they've caught it up. That is Messeros in the range.
Messeros already caught up from 3rd position. Gets that first green light, and Malak Ismail enters to not too far off Tagarova. And it's Messeros, just one green light left, and it's Messeros who is off.
Well, as you talk about Messeros going out of the range, this is the pack we're interested coming into the range. In the red shirt, it is Katarina Yurt from Switzerland, currently in 9th place, and the swaps can happen here. Tagarov taking her time in the range, comes out. Sazonova not far behind her. Derval having a struggle as well as Hairbach. Johnson looks like she may well gain some places here. Yurt is dropping behind. Hlavackova is shooting so well, one ahead, and Derval gets out of the range. Amma has made up a huge number of places in the range. Yurt's out and in 8th place, so Yurt actually gains a place, and now everyone is hunting down Zaina Amma, wearing number 7. The Egyptian, who started 7th, has dropped down to 9th.
Not far after Amma is Lavachkova of Czechia. She's got her eyes on Amma for that 9th position. Pauline Flavon also not too far after Lucy Lavachkova.
Well, the hunt is very much on, isn't it? You called it. Lavachkova over the grass has closed the gap up massively, and Amma looks like she's already starting to tire. These athletes are about to go through the water station to cool off. There they are. And Lavachkova does indeed move up into 9th. She's climbed 2 places from her starting position and has the calmness to check her pacing on her watch. And I fear for Zaina Amma here. Zaina Amma of Egypt could now get overtaken by Colleen Flavin of France.
Great stuff here from Lavachkova, but here we have it, our first athlete entering the shooting range. Meseros of Hungary, not too far after her. Malek Ismail, 1 green light for Meseros. Meseros struggling with the shooting here, but she's got 3 green lights left. Malek Ismail catching up to her, but it's Meseros who's just got 1 green light. And Meseros is off and not too far after her. Malek Ismail.
Well, you called it perfectly that Ismail has decided to just pace off, let someone overtake her and then pace the race for, and she stayed in touch. Now look at the accuracy up in the top right, the graphic showing you everything in the grey gets you a point, everything outside doesn't. Got to hit the black dial. So in the range, Yurt has come out in 9th place. Lavachkova has climbed again. Flavin now chasing down Yurt. Yurt in the hot spot. On the bubble, as they say in motorsport. You've got to stay in the top 9 to qualify for the final here of the women's competition at the Pentathlon Junior World Championships of 2025. And the heat must be painful now for Yurt. She knows that she's on the edge of qualification, but she knows there's stuff coming up behind her that could really threaten. Biernatska's had a massive climb. She's in the range as well at the moment. If she can get out quickly, she could be part of the race for qualification, and she does indeed do that. And Yurt, well, let's just check where she is on the course. She might feel safe. Biernatska might be a bit too far down.
Really great stats we have here between Flavin and Yurt, but it is Yurt's shooting that is keeping her in this position. It looks about 30 meters distance that she has from Flavin, but Yurt will be looking to close that distance off of Tagarova. And we have an overtake here in the lead between Malek Ismail and Meseros as they make their way for this shooting series.
Yeah, 3rd time in the range for them. 1 more to go. But it's Katarina Yurt who's in our focus. And in fact, this pack has actually closed up quite a bit. The front are so comfortable that they felt no need to push too hard. In these conditions, you can't blame the front 2 already out of the range, as number 9 on the bubble, Katarina Yurt, comes into her position. She started in 9th. She's currently in 9th, out of the range. Derval is in 4th position. She's moved down. Lavachkova has moved up to 4th, 7. A climb of 7 places for the athlete from Czechia. 6 is her back. Johnson of Great Britain 7th. Yurt moves up to 8. Sazonova is in trouble here. She just about makes it out of the range, but Flavin is right behind her. Sazonova has put herself in a spot of bother here. She started 4th, but she's dropped all the way down to 9th, a drop of 5 places, and now she is the one on the bubble.
What a shuffle between standings here. Unfortunate for Sazonova, but she can still keep on. But it seems like Flavin, who's taking that transition there, she's now in 9th position.
She's taken her on the first of the sort of mini straights on the inside, and now comes out onto the track. Will be a sweet movement for her knees. And they're around about 250 meters, 200 meters behind the leaders, and the leaders are just pacing themselves through this. And to be fair to Flavin, she is opening up the gap here to Sazonova behind her, and it could be that this race was decided by clever pacing from this French athlete.
Athletes are making way to their next and final shooting series. We can see how the shooting matters and how it counts for everything. We have Malak Ismail and Mizaros neck and neck, making their way for their last shooting series. Really comfortable positions that they're in, but it's Ismail who's just going for those green lights there.
Well, Flavin here has paced this absolutely beautifully. She didn't go all out early doors. She took her time. She stayed calm in the range. Now she's coming through what would have been the start-finish straight, and she's going to come into the range. And this now, as we see Ismail Tagarova, Klacheva, Mesros, Derval and Herback leave the range. Johnson is waiting here, but this is who we've got focus on. Flavin misses the first 2. Flavin gets her green light. There's no one else in the range yet. Yurt has left, so the top 8 are clear of the range now. Flavin's 1 away, and she's done it. She's out of the range for the final 600 meters, and Sazonova's shoulders went down, as did Amma's, as they entered the range, because they saw the person they're hunting down is already on the way.
Flavin is securing a spot for the final. Great stuff here. We see great gap from there.
I was just about to say, sorry, I'm getting overexcited here. Amma overtook Sazonova, and she came out of the range, and she looks like she's going to try and hunt this one down. I'm not sure she's got anything left in the tank, but she's giving it a go. Flavin, though, is, what, 100 meters ahead, 110 meters ahead as she comes on to the track. Now, if you look at the gap between the leader and 9th place, it's just 150 meters. It's not much at all. That just shows how comfortable the leaders have had it here. They've just paced themselves. So Flavin coming down, halfway down the back straight. The leaders, meanwhile, up the front, and here we are with Malak Ismail. And that's some amazing camera work there. Sprinting around the outside of the bend with a weight of a camera on you just to get the shots that we got here. And then look at this. Ismail and Meszaros, hand in hand, are going to cross the line. They've qualified for the final here. Coming over the line, 3rd. Looks like...
Yeah, make some great photo finishes here.
Well, we've got Taylor-over, Klacheva, Derval, Herback is over the line. Coming over hand in hand again, Johnson and Yurt, and Flavin picks up with them, and that is the top 9. We can say that for sure. And what a performance from, well, you have to say from Flavin especially. She paced it absolutely brilliantly. Amma will be disappointed. Derval going over to her teammate who's just crashed out. Such is the exhaustion. She can barely stand up, Colleen Flavin, as we see the remainder of the athletes come through. Amma goes ahead of Sazovna. The neutral athlete will be followed by her teammate Piavets. Binatska, we thought, might be a little bit far away. She did put in a great performance, but in the end got overtaken by Farman on the final lap. And Kadkevich, I think she's kind of given up the pole, because Kurt also comes over the line before her. She knew it was done, and she put in an awful effort. She does finally cross the line. 40, the Italian penultimate, and Speakman from Great Britain will come over the line in 18th place. Done well to qualify for the semi-finals, of course, here at the World Championships. But it's just the top 9 through. Mesros, Ismail, Tagirova, Klavachkova, Derval, Herbach, Flavin, Yurt and Johnson through to the Women's World Championship final. Well, we just saw Mesros making a race highlight graphic, moving from 3rd to 1st. But we have to say, we have to be fair, up the front, Malak Ismail was just pacing herself.
Yeah, no, I mean, she was really in a comfortable position there, and she'll be really pleased with that result. And she didn't really have to use all her energy for that race, and she can use the rest of it in the final. But great stuff there from Lavachkova, picking up 7 positions all the way from 11th, as well as Matilda Derval and Colleen Flavin.
Well, for me, she's the athlete of the laser run in semi-final B. She paced it. She didn't panic, right?
It was really just the 3rd shooting series where I think a lot of the standing shuffled up, and it just goes to show how important that shooting is. But here we have the highlights.
Yeah, we take a look back. One sport, 5 disciplines. Well, 2 are wrapped up in the race for qualification. Ismail Malak started from the front, but as a leader, Van der Merwe, expert in the box here, predicted she was always going to pace herself. She was going to get overtaken and then try and stick with that athlete, and that's just what she did. Mesros came out the first lap and the first shoot in the lead, and she looked really comfortable. She looked well within herself.
I must say, there's also something about having that pressure, about knowing that there's someone just 8 seconds behind you, even if you're in that first position. There's quite a bit of pressure there, even if you're starting up in first. But here you can see the takeover of Lavachkova and Zaina Ahmed. Lavachkova, who started up in 11th position. What an incredible laser run, and it just goes to show she applied her experience as an Olympian to this race.
And Amma then started to struggle as soon as she was overtaken, and Yurt, who we focused on early doors, moved back into that bubble spot 9th. But this, for me, was the athlete of the round. Flavin from France, as Malak leaves the range. She was pacing herself all the way through, just checking over her shoulder where am I. At one point, I think she even overtook the leader just for momentarily, but not for long. Yurt staying on the bubble, but then the race came alive. Colleen Flavin in the range overtakes Sazonova in the last of the shoots, and that really sealed the deal. Arms held, Mesros and Ismail over the line together. 3, 4 and 5 also crossed the line hand in hand. And then this was the group that qualified in 7th, 8th and 9th for the Women's Junior World Championship final here in Hungary. And a beautiful picture there. Fantastic stuff here from the venue in Czech Fevaras. That was completely wrong, was it? No, here we are, the finishing standings after the laser run. Malak Ismail from Emma Mesros. They paced themselves along with Amina Tagirova up the front. Derval, she ran really well, shot really well, but perhaps the star, or one of the stars of the laser run, Lavachkova, doing so well to jump up to 5th position. Herbeck in 6th will keep the home crowd happy. Chloe Johnson, Katarina Yurt, and in particular Colleen Flavin is absolutely the star of the show. These are the 9 that have qualified for the Women's Pentathlon Junior World Championship final. And these are the positions at the end of semi-final B of the laser run and the qualifiers for the final. It's been a beautiful day here, 2 semi-finals. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow we'll pick up the men's semi-finals.